Wow, a fresh new week with a fresh new child. It's us. It's the lag. It's a new episode where we're talking about video game stuff with Luke, Cammy, and Jacob. How you guys doing?
And Lachlan.
And Lachlan.
Yeah,
Also two cats, and then
And
Cammy might have
Hermione
Moo
is
Moo.
down there.
I have a cat underneath my desk.
Well, there you go. We're all here, just like the Smash Brothers ad that says we're all here. Remember that. Video game
When
stuff.
you're here, your family. Yes.
That's Applebee's.
Yeah, when you are here, you are family.
Yeah.
It's Olive Garden. I don't think it's Applebee's.
Is it Olive Garden? Olive Garden's catchphrase should be, when you're here, you're disappointed. Because their food tastes like garbage. All their food tastes like... most places serve garbage.
Olive Garden is awesome.
Olive Garden is disgusting.
No, it is not.
Applebee's is
anyway,
disgusting.
Guys. Horizon, it is officially gone gold.
Hey.
Now, Jacob, what does that even mean? Because most people are like, it's gold, which means it's good. What does going gold actually mean?
It means that the, you know that back in the old days, the bottom of a disc be like a certain color? It means it did that. It's on the disc now. So it's ready to it's ready to ship. At least I think that's where it comes from, isn't it? I think that's like...
I do believe so. Yeah. It's it would be great if they were using like the PS1 discs.
the purple glow.
They've gone black.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone black. But yeah, it basically means that all of the core content on the game is there. Usually once a game has gone gold, it means the only stuff left to do is like finishing polishing touches. But even that isn't necessarily true, because you could go gold a year before launch and then spend a year polishing, but that wouldn't make much sense logistically. So instead, usually going gold just means that you're about a month or two out from launch. You sent the data off to the manufacturers to make the physical copies of the game. You'll still be working. They're still working on patches and everything, because they are going to have a day one patch like all games, but the core game is done and it's there. They also released some new stuff, some new clips and mini trailers, screenshots and stuff. Everybody agrees it looks way better than Horizon, but I think still in the wake of the Activision buyout, there's still a little bit of like, cool, that's kind of underwhelming. You got some screenshots. Sony hasn't really recaptured the media yet, but we'll see. Maybe they have some tricks up their sleeve. All it would take, I think, at this point is for Horizon to be really good, and then also probably for like a Bloodborne remake trailer, just a quick cinematic trailer saying Blue Point is working on it or something. I think people would cream if they saw that. Would that be enough to like dominate the media cycle for weeks? I doubt it, but at the very least it would get people hyped for something other than stuff we've known about for a year, 2 years. But all told, it looks good. It's on its way.
It really is the ace up their sleeve, Bloodborne. When things get their worst, because I'm sure they won't do it before or like even 3 months after Elden Ring, but once, like, if things get really bad, if things start shifting towards Xbox, just whip out Bloodborne for PC, an updated port for PS5, and you could probably win back some of that ground.
That's the tough thing, though, is apparently Miyazaki is like, nobody really knows where the rights are relegated for the game. Anybody who says they know that isn't working for Sony or FromSoft doesn't know. They're just lying to you. So, like, nobody knows conclusively if Sony owns the rights and has the ability to do a remake with Blue Point, or if it's something that FromSoft would have to sign off on as well, or if FromSoft owns the exclusive rights, in which case they would have to do the remaster remake thing, which I don't think anybody wants because that's not really their expertise. So I don't know where the rights land. I think, from FromSoft's perspective, it only makes sense. Get people more into your games and set up a system where, you get royalties on every release of the remaster. But I think it only makes sense, so I have to imagine they're doing it. But who knows? We've been weirded out by other stuff, like a Bully 2. That would print money, but apparently nobody wants to do it. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I do agree. I think that is sort of an ace up the sleeve. Same with pretty much anything Naughty Dog makes at this point. So we'll just have to see where it goes.
Well, what came with this announcement of going gold, Ms. Huddlestone? Did we get some new potato-looking people shown on screen? Which I should say, having seen some of it, they don't look as much like... I said they looked like mashed potato people last week. They don't as much right now, but
No,
we'll
they look
see.
like better potatoes now.
Yeah, they're like...
Yeah.
Really good fries.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Nice and crispy.
Yeah. A lot of seasoning on them. Oh, that's good. Some still screenshots, some, like Luke said, really short clips running on the PS4 Pro, which I was quite surprised about. I thought they'd show off everything on the PS5, but the fact it's running on PS4 Pro and it's looking smooth. 2 thumbs up from me. I'm
Ayo.
excited.
Yeah, it
Yo.
is important to remember. Probably the overwhelming majority of the sales of the game are going to be on last gen consoles. So, it's easy for the marketing guys to just present everything through the lens of PlayStation 5, which I don't blame them for doing. It's current gen, but it's also just a matter of practicality. I mean, a lot of people still don't have next gen consoles. I mean, my core like group of college friends, we all play games together. We're going through Monster Hunter World together right now. We all steadily have been trying to collect PS5s, and the last one in our group got one earlier this week, and it took him a solid year and a half of trying to lock one down, and he ended up having to buy it from a bundle at GameStop for like $750. He didn't even get to just go buy the console. So it's still very tough to get your hands on one even nowadays. So I'm glad that they're showing off what it looks like on base consoles. Again, it's frustrating that it's being like it's cross-generational. I get why Sony's doing it for all the reasons we just mentioned, but we're going to have to wait another couple of years before we see what a true next-gen Sony exclusive looks like that's been built from the ground up, not as a remaster, but as a game exclusive for the platform. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was fine, but I even had a lot of issues with that game, so whatever.
Hey, speaking of whatever, Steam Deck has a launch date. I'm not in the population that cares a whole lot about this.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's neat, it's cool, but like, I don't know, man. I'm in my house a lot these days. We live in cold places with no people and barely enough food to go around. Like, lock me inside. I don't want to go.
Do you need a place to stay, man?
Nah, man. Hey, man. What you gonna do? Steam Deck though. Release date launches 25th of February.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
That's a thing. Yeah, I am on the pre-order list. I signed up like last July, I think it was. But my reservation isn't, all it says is after Q2 of 2022. So I don't think I'll be getting mine until like mid to late summer or even the fall. But like I've said before, I'm looking forward to this to play those PC games you can't play mobily, like Factorio or even something like, it's ridiculous, but the ability to play something like Monster Hunter World, which we're doing a PC run of right now, being able to play that on the big computer downstairs and then take the Steam Deck, pick up where I left off on the couch while holding the baby or up in bed, like that alone is worth a lot. And I think is very ideal for a lot of people. It's not just about traveling, it's also about just being able to have flexibility. So It's not going to be for everybody, obviously. I mean, it's pretty expensive. But if you want the Steam library on the go, it's making a much more compelling argument than like the OLED Switch is making right now. And speaking of the Switch, like slight detour, there's been like nothing of note for that console in a year.
There's
Like, really nothing.
Pokemon Arceus, however you say, that's coming out here pretty soon. But
So it just came out.
oh, did it already come out? Oh, I honestly, it seems fun. It seems fine. I don't know. It doesn't look tremendous. I love Nintendo stuff, but you know, I want more like Mario platforms and Pikmin games and you know, fun shit.
Odyssey
Metroid Dread was
sold
great.
freakishly well.
Yeah,
Metroid was good.
Metroid Dread is super cool.
I did run into I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if it was a server issue on Sony or on Nintendo side, but one day I picked up my Switch to keep playing, and I had reverted like 7 hours of gameplay. But it wasn't like I overwrote a save file, because that's not how that works. It's not going to like overwrite a new save file with an old one. It's just somehow the new saves were deleted, and it backtracked me so much that I had to take weeks off of the game to give myself a break, because I was just livid. As far as I can tell, I'm the only person who ran into that. I haven't heard anybody else say that, but it was an actual infuriating event. I screamed, Jacob. I screamed.
You went, ah, like that. Your classic Luke Stevens scream. Buy the t-shirt on redbubble.com. It's a picture of Luke saying, ah, holding a delicious Coca-Cola. Oh, no, Monster Energy. A Monster Energy.
No, we don't have the rights to that. What was the drink in the director's cut of Death Stranding? It was like Bridges
Wolf
juice.
Cola.
It's just, oh, that sounds so unappetizing.
Yeah. Oh, good. Bridges.
Bridge juice. Oh,
that's how,
yummy.
It's just a nod to how much Hideo Kojima likes Norman Reedus. He really wants that Bridges juice, if you know what I'm saying.
Really? He wants that Bridges juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley's in the corner. He's like, why didn't I get a juice? Sorry,
now we can all have Bridges juice. They couldn't call it Norman Reedus juice, because that would have just been way too on the nose.
That was too on the nose.
Yeah.
yeah. Bridges juice, it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's launching the 25th. First units will be shipped starting on the 28th. So just in case it's not clear, basically what you had to do to pre-order a Steam Deck is you had to put a $5 deposit down, and that reserved your spot in line. It was an attempt to combat scalpers, basically, as you had to put $5 up. And I think there were also account requirements, like your Steam account had to have been in existence for 30 days or something like that. They just wanted to prevent bots from buying all of them up, which props to Valve. So on the 25th, you will be able, if you have a reservation for this batch, you'll be able to go into Steam and fully purchase the unit with your reserved space, and then it'll get shipped starting on the 28th. So it's not like you're going to get your Steam Deck on the 25th. You'll probably get it early March, but the ball will start rolling, because up till now, it's just been sitting in the TBD time frame. So I'm glad that they're actually getting rolling. And I'm excited, man. I mean, the thing looks badass. And there's been other handheld PCs like this before, but nothing with Steam's full stamp of approval, and this seems to be it. So I'm excited. We'll see what it's like.
Hey. Well,
hey.
Cammy, are you going to wind up buying a Steam Deck? Oh. So
she's a Sony pony, Rachel. Jacob. She's a Sony pony.
Did you almost call me
She's
Rachel?
No, I was gonna say no.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Are you Rachel now?
What the hell? It's not even
she
close.
Likes Sony stuff. I agree. My brain had a malfunction.
Stop,
I'm gonna start calling you Deborah or something.
Deborah's pretty good.
Debbie.
You would. I'm not just saying this. You would make a great Deborah.
Debbie, get in here. Yeah, I could follow that.
Yeah, see, it works. It works.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cammy, save me from this awkwardness. What happened with Call of Duty? What's some of the news on that?
Well, there was a report from Jason Schreier, best
Your
mate
boy.
Jason. Yeah, your boy. Basically, while all this like acquisition stuff's been going on, Phil Spencer's been saying, we won't to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. We're gonna honor all previous agreements, etc., etc. And Jason Schreier's kind of made what that means a bit clearer. Wrote an article. Basically, those previous agreements are Call of Duty 2022, 2023, and Warzone 2, which is set to come out 2023. But those are the only agreements. So after that, it's like he'll have honoured his word by saying, we're keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation and we are honouring all previous agreements. But then after those three, he could be like, yeah, they're all Xbox exclusives now.
Oh.
Whatever.
Ta-da. Yeah.
Ta-da!
No,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I was saying last week. It really wouldn't surprise me if after the Warzone 2 launch, it goes exclusive. But even if they don't make it exclusive, all you have to do is present it like it is. $70 to buy it on PlayStation, or included day one on Game Pass for $15 a month with everything else in Game Pass.
Yeah.
And that alone, I mean, that is such a discrepancy between the two offerings that in effect it's playing like it's exclusive, because that is such a high barrier to entry. Now obviously, like, Warzone presumably will be free to play. That's the presumption, but I'm sure there will also be tons. I mean, if you assume that Call of Duty 2023 is exclusive on Game Pass or for free on Game Pass day one, all of those operators, all the weapon skins and everything will just be included if you have an Xbox. And that alone, for people who are really into COD, is worth a lot. So I would still expect to see a lot of like Sony players who are very into Call of Duty, maybe who haven't gone to next gen yet, who were trying to get a PS5 because they weren't sold on Xbox. I would bet good money that a good number of them are going to change their minds and just go get a Series X instead of a PS5. It's going to be easier to get. They'll get all this stuff day one. They just, hop on the bandwagon before it gets too ridiculous. So, it's not unexpected, like Cammie said. They got to play the game for the regulators and being like, yeah, for at least, as weird as it is to say now, we're in 2022 now. 2023 Warzone 2 is only a year away. So, like, I mean, realistically, like a year and a half away. So that's not that long to be continuing the contracts with Sony. It sounds like 2023, wow, for years and years and years, it's still going to be on PlayStation. But that's not actually the case. Like that's pretty close. So realistically, once this deal goes through, they probably are only going to be on PlayStation for about 6 months to maybe a year before they go exclusive. So it's crazy. Again, $70 billion deal. It's wild. Are you smiling at Miss Cammie? He's smiling at Miss Cammie through the iPad.
Oh, Lachlan.
Yeah. I caught you in the act.
Yeah, he's
I caught you in the
embarrassing.
act.
Maybe he's smiling at our next piece of news. Uncharted coming to PS5, or the Legacy of Thieves people, Legacy of Stealing People collection with 4 and that other one.
Yeah, it's 10 big ones to upgrade if you own only, let's see, if you own only one game, then you will still receive both on PS5 for the same price for the $10 upgrade fee. It's it makes them run better. They'll be my understanding is they'll be locked at 60. You can enjoy upgraded textures, I'm sure improved load times as well. There was actually one thing I saw on Twitter with one of the designers of Uncharted 4. If you guys played it back in the day, you'll remember the spinning coin during all the loading screens. Apparently, that's just like you'd never see that in the Legacy of Thieves collection because it loads so much faster. So it's people are like, I kind of missed that coin. You guys put all the work into that. Did you put like a 60 FPS version of the file in the game? And apparently they did. It's just it loads so quickly you'd never see the spinning coin, which is funny. Yeah, I recommend you guys go out and play it if you guys haven't ever played Uncharted, or if you have not played them in years. I just released the full 8.5 hour series critique that we've spent 2 years working on. So after you play the games, you can go check that out. They're good games. They're good games. I think Lost Legacy is kind of bleh, but Uncharted 4 is really good. And I recommend you give them a shot. I'm kind of bummed that the core trilogy, the OG trilogy, is not included. But I kind of get why. They already did a remastered collection, and that's in the PlayStation Gold collection or PlayStation whatever collection. So it would be kind of like charging for something that you already include as free. So I get it, but
Hey man, it's all just build up for that movie. Just getting ready for that. Yeah.
I also like the fact that if you only own, say you only own Uncharted 4, you buy the upgrade for a tenner, you get it to PS5 level, and then you just get Lost Legacy for free. I like that.
Yeah,
if you're going to charge for an upgrade, that's a sweetener for the deal, I think.
It is refreshing because just like 6 months ago, Sony was being kind of toxic with their pricing strategies for these upgrades. So it's good to see that they're loosening up a little bit, at least when it comes to the PS5, Naughty Dog exclusives. But at the same time, Lost Legacy is. You falling asleep on me? Yeah.
So boring,
at the same time, Lost Legacy, Uncharted 4, there are so many freaking copies out there. If you want to buy it used, it's going to cost you $5 at a GameStop or a game if you're in the jolly UK. Let's go lay in your sleeper, dude. Goodness, he's just passing out on me. So it's going to be very easy to get. I know. It's going to be very easy to get for cheap. So I can understand why they're like, hey, it's not like this is crazy in demand right now. There's not much scarcity, but yeah, go give them a shot. Yeah. Give them a shot. I think for $10, absolutely.
It's a nice little thing to do right before the movie, right before. No, yeah, I think that's it. I thought there was something else. No, I was like, for some reason in my head, I was like, they're doing this because Luke's critique went up. And then obviously...
It's the only reason.
Obviously, we planned the critique to go out with the movie.
No.
And
No, they planned it around us.
My brain's not functioning. That's not.
I don't think any of our brains are functioning, Deborah. It's all.
I want to be Debbie. If I have to have the name Deborah, I want to go by Debbie.
Well,
I want to be Big Debbie.
Luke's gone, so Big D. No, that sounds wrong. Big Debs.
Big D. I think we finished on it. Big D will be my forever nickname. That's it. Big D here,
calm down.
Ready to talk about the Big
Rachel.
MK.
Calm down. Calm down, Rachel.
Now that we're over those stupid story adventure games, it's time to talk about some fantastic gameplay-oriented fighting games. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Did you guys see the movie?
No.
The newest movie?
I don't give a shit about Mortal Kombat. No,
I went over to a friend's house and watched it. It's it's not bad. It's just like they have this character who's the main guy, the main Chungus, and he is painfully uninteresting and just not particularly likable. but they spend so much time trying to be like, he's trying to become a fighter and he's training so hard. Like they really want you to care about this guy. And I'm sure the actor is a very talented actor, but he's just written like a block of wood. And so everybody, when this news came out that they're working on a sequel to the movie, everybody was like, awesome. Can you just have like more fight scenes and less of this BS character? Like it just doesn't matter. It's like the Monster Hunter movie. Did you guys see that one?
No, I had no
Okay,
reason to.
we made a point. We watched both of these movies in the same night, me and some buddies, because we're like, you know what? Let's support our industry. Let's watch the gaming movies. The Monster Hunter one was fine. Like not good, not great. It's something you watch once, and I have no interest in ever watching it again. And then this Mortal Kombat one, there's some pretty good gore in it. Not as much as I was expecting or kind of hoping for. And just way too much focus on these uninteresting characters. Like nobody's watching Mortal Kombat to be like, oh, I wonder, like I can't even remember the guy's name. Like I wonder what Jimmy Bob Thornton is going to do next. He's such a good guy and he cares about his family, but he wants to be a fighter because it's his destiny. Like nobody gives a crap. Show me people getting split in half, you know? So, but they got Jeremy Slater to write this sequel, who did like Umbrella Academy and Moon Knight. So like this guy is legit.
Well,
He's legitness.
we haven't seen Moon Knight yet. Umbrella Academy is kind of cool, but there's stuff to work with Mortal Kombat. I like it a lot. But I don't know. Yeah, obviously you go into Mortal Kombat for different reasons. It's not really the 90s anymore when they had the comic book running and it was the biggest thing on the goddamn planet in terms of video games. Like there was a time when Nintendo and Sega were battling almost exclusively over this game for which console had the better version, and that would decide which console would sell better for like a 6-month period. So it's not quite there, but it has its fans. And it's, we'll see. We'll see. Video game movies are really hit or miss. And a lot of the times when they do hit, it's just like a single. And it's like, okay, that was fine. Like the Sonic movie. That was fine. It's
Almost
right.
wasn't.
Almost wasn't. But it's fine.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Didn't the sequel come out recently?
Sonic 2? I don't think so. We would have...
No, not yet.
We would have heard some... We're gaming news, Luke. We would have heard something about that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is such a huge, huge news story.
It
Sonic
is a big
2,
deal.
Oh, it comes out
Jim Carrey
the
and...
1st of April.
Okay. Can't come soon enough.
What a perfect day for it.
It's going to turn out to be a Kid Chameleon game. Or movie.
Knack 3.
Knack 3. We're getting Knack 3. Hey, speaking of sequel games, supposedly there was a leak. Unfortunately, it's not for Knack 3, but it, again, is for Mortal Kombat 12, perhaps.
In a leak that surprises absolutely no one. Like,
Yeah.
what? They're making another one?
Well, honestly, it's either Mortal Kombat 12 or Injustice 3. I personally want Injustice 3 because I really like those games. And I have a lot. We played Mortal Kombat 10 together. I don't think we've played 11 together yet, but we played some 10 together. And they're great fun, but they're also really, really deep and really, like, they're fleshed out to fucking high heaven. So there's so much you get out of them.
Hard to master. Like, I got really into Injustice 2. Nikki and I actually played them together, where we would go through the story, and then every fight we would alternate and just hand each other the controllers, and we'd go through the whole story like that. And we had a good time with Injustice 2. And it was relatively compelling. I agree. I wish it were Injustice 3. Mortal Kombat is great, but I've just never put the time in. But if they release like a next gen version of it that I could get into at day one, I could see that. I could see grinding it out.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing if it does happen. And keep in mind, the leak is a picture from one of the producers at NetherRealm, and the picture is just of a bunch of like key art and whatnot. And then up in the top right corner, it's just a little file that says MK12. A neat little thing someone found. Who knows if it holds any water, if it's anything true, but I think this is what marketing is going to become now, thanks to the MatPat generation, as I'm going to call them, of people that love looking at images for a very long time.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I would have to include myself in, and many other people in, because it's fun. It's fun. It's fun when marketing campaigns are little scavenger hunts, little Where's Waldo pages. That's fun stuff when you can dig that up on your own.
Yeah. I am looking at the picture now. Jacob, I guess you can put it on the screen.
Here it is.
Boom. They've got all sorts of stuff. They've got the big file being MK12. It looks like it says _master something. And then in the email, you can only see a smidgen of it. It's from a lady named Christine. I haven't looked at their company, so I don't know who she is or what job she has. But it's all just like confidential, do not share any part of this video, blah, blah, blah. Our fans eagerly scrape the internet for any trace, blah, blah, blah. Take extra care with this material. And then he ends up accidentally leaking a little file. I mean, maybe it wasn't intentional.
I guarantee you this is something. Todd Howard accidentally leaked some Starfield images or whatever. It's just the direction marketing's going, and I kind of love it. But I hate that people do it with everything.
If you guys remember with like the Fallout 4 craziness, there were a lot of things that came out about that game where it really seemed like the only people that could have leaked it were at the studio. So it was like controlled dissemination of information. And I also think with these huge titles, there are, without a doubt, cases where, like, if Todd Howard suspects one of his producers of leaking stuff or a designer of leaking stuff, because I'm sure word gets around the studio pretty quick if something happens, you better believe, like, they give them a little false information to see where that spreads and to follow that through. It happens in police investigations too. I mean, where they are worried about police officers leaking information. I forgot what case it was, but I was watching a documentary on one of them, and they sent out information saying that a six-fingered man might have been responsible for the crime, and they just waited to see who reported it and where they got the info from, and they were able to trace it back. Like, we only told this officer this thing about a six-fingered man, and so we can fire him because we know it got out through him. And so they do stuff like that all the time, I'm sure, because not every leak is legitimate. But I agree with Jacob. I think a lot of it is probably, oh no,
oopsie. Oh no, now you have to buy it. Uh-oh. Now you have to spend money on this little game we made. Uh-oh.
Everyone's talking about our video game. Oh,
no.
Oh, golly.
I'm fighting people on Twitter. That's just the guy from the Bugs Bunny cartoons. What's his name? I'm hunting. I'm hunting Twitter I'm
Elmer
fighting people on
Fudd.
Twitter. Is it Elmer Fudd?
Elmer Fudd. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, so yeah, lots of stuff is happening. Stuff is happening in the industry we all know and love. Lastly, what are you guys playing right now?
Cammy, you take that first, because mine will blow all other answers out of the water.
Oh shit! I'm going through The Last of Us again because I'm tempted to get the platinum, so I'm doing it on Survivor difficulty at the minute.
Ooh, you're brave, because Naughty Dog is apparently doing a remake of it soon.
Well,
so
you might have to
You
might have to do it again, yeah. I don't know what that would be. If it is just like a remaster, I'll be sad. But if it's a full remake with the quality of The Last of Us Part 2, I will prime for that.
It'd be neat.
The original Last of Us so much. I don't care.
I will play it again.
Maybe they should make some new shit.
Nah.
Who said that?
Don't be ridiculous.
Like anything.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just want them to do an Anne Bonny pirate game, like a game set in the golden age of piracy about Anne Bonny and with Naughty Dog production values and storytelling. That would be phenomenal. They need to do it. I predicted the Suicide Squad game like a year before launch. Somebody listen to me.
Oh, a year before launch. You predicted the Suicide
A
Squad
year
game
before announcement, sorry.
8 years before conception. You were talking about a Suicide Squad game before Arkham Knight came out, weren't you? I'm certain you were.
Oh, maybe. I don't even know. I'm such a genius. I can't keep track.
It was this exact. You were just like, I think it makes sense that they'd move in that direction or something like that. I remember that.
Well, part of it was tied into the fact that Warner Brothers has access to Monolith's patents, including the Nemesis system. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to do a sort of Suicide Squad game where you can mix up a bunch of heroes and upstarts and tie that together with the Nemesis system, but in a superhero setting. I thought that could be really, really cool. Where you have like dynamically generated little superheroes that try to get their start fighting the Suicide Squad or fighting a bunch of villains. And it could be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, narratively, you'd have to jump through a lot of hoops to make that work, but I just think it could be interesting. And so back in the day, I was like, I think a Suicide Squad game makes sense for them, especially with, like, at that time, I don't think the Suicide Squad movie had even come out yet. So I was like, they seem to be hyping up the Suicide Squad stuff. Only makes sense. And then sure enough, they did it. So all I'm saying, Naughty Dog, $1 million, billion-dollar idea. $1 million idea isn't worth that much to you. Like, let's be real. $1 billion idea. Anne Bonny, Golden Age of Piracy. People love pirate shit. Like, they love it. Sea of Thieves is still very successful. They're releasing all sorts of new DLC in the coming weeks, actually. New story content. People love it. I just think there hasn't been a really quality narrative pirate game. You could say Black Flag, but I'd say calling that a narrative pirate game is probably generous. I just want it. I want it now.
Hey man,
That is all.
That plays into my thing because the game I've been playing the most of this past week is Sea of Thieves, and I'm loving it. I adore that game. The only reason I stopped playing that game was because I had like school stuff to do. And I will legitimately, that is one of the few games I will sit down with and play for like 4 or 5 hours straight. Just sailing the seas, eating a tasty snack while I do it.
When we've played it, Jacob and I will get plastered drunk in the game and climb up to the top of the mast and then try to see who can jump off onto each of the reams down to the deck. You never make it. Gently down, you will probably fall off the ship and drown, but it is so fun. I love it. I also love Sea of Thieves. I think like improvements to combat would be greatly appreciated, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game about exploring and being a little more lighthearted with it, and in that capacity, it's fantastic.
The ship combat's really good too. The hand-to-hand stuff could be the swords and it could be better, but that ship combat feels awesome.
The swords, yeah, and I think other things they could do, like I think displaying enemy health bars would actually be a really good thing. I don't know if there's a setting to turn that on or off, but just so you can see, like, okay, I landed a headshot with my rifle that did more damage. That's satisfying, something like that. And I think a hardcore server where it's relatively easy to sink each other's ships would be greatly appreciated. I think that'd be badass. So the thing I can't stand is when you like raid somebody's ship and then you throw 15 firebombs and the ship is still up because they have managed to like shovel the water out fast enough. I wish there was a hardcore mode, but and I've already said I'm playing Monster Hunter World again. We'll probably make a video on it. It's just so good.
It's a really great game.
It's so good.
I stand by.
It's got a big. Go ahead.
Oh, I got it for $10 late one night after like, oh shoot, when would that have been? I think I was still in high school when I got it. And I played it, I got home at like 10 p.m. I played it to like 2. It's amazing. Just sucks you in.
It does, and I mean, it's tough to learn. I don't think I would have gotten into it if I didn't have a buddy who was all into Monster Hunter, had played them for years and years, thousands and thousands of hours. But he was willing to like play with me and some other guys and just teach us up how to do it and all the little tips and tricks. And that's kind of what it takes. Monster Hunter World was much better than the previous games. Apparently, the previous games, they just like literally didn't tell you anything. There were no tutorials. Like your weapons would dull. You had to go out and find whetstones that are used to sharpen your blade. And the game just didn't tell you this. So people would be playing it and they're like, what does that bar mean? They never told me. I don't know. So you'd have to buy like game guides and go on forums and stuff just to figure out what things on the menu meant. And thankfully, they made it a little bit more accessible. I mean, we've talked about accessibility before. Something as simple as having like a little tutorial message to tell you what a bar on your HUD means is not dumbing down the game. I think that's just clearly communicated. It's okay for that to be the case. Just because you went and read a forum and bought a guide and stuff doesn't mean that you just got good. It just means that you spent money on this game that you enjoy. That's great. But it's objectively better if the game just were clear and told you what you need to know. But anyways, that's all beside the point. Fun stories, fun news.
Yeah.
We got some big stuff coming in February. Most anticipated games. Cammy, what's your most anticipated for February?
Probably Horizon.
Horizon, Jacob?
Wrong answer. It's Elden Ring.
Wrong. Yeah, I'm honestly equally. If I had to pick one, if I could only play one, I'd probably pick Horizon. But I'm hyped about both. I just think like I'm a narrative guy. I like the open world exploration stuff. And I'm excited for Elden Ring. I get why people are excited, like I said in that video. But at the same time, they've signaled a lot of things that make me a little sus, where, like Miyazaki saying, a lot more people will finish this game than have finished any of our other games. And I don't know how else to read that than saying that they've actively attempted to make it easier, which is a little bit more of a turnoff for me. Because then it just becomes an open world game with kind of clunky combat,
like
and
Horizon.
good enemy designs. Well, Horizon is a freakishly beautiful, very high production.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah,
I wish I didn't have to look at the people, but it is a very beautiful game.
Yeah, and I mean, graphics aren't everything, but it's also, Guerrilla has done open world games before, and FromSoft really hasn't. You can say like, well, some of these games, they have branching pathways and it all comes back to a centralized hub. And so sort of it's open world, but it really isn't in any meaningful sense. When you like look at Elden Ring, I'm optimistic. I'm excited. I want to see what it's like. But there are a few things where I'm like, they got to prove themselves, because I'm not just going to take on blind faith that they've magically figured all of this out on their first attempt at an open world game like this. Literally no other studio has ever nailed it on their first attempt at a new genre or new major factor or element in their game design. It's never happened before. Maybe they'll be the first.
Whoa. Rare did Sea of Thieves. They killed it. What are you talking about? Rare was doing motion capture games before that. It was completely different.
I agree Rare was doing motion capture games. I would still insist that while I have fun with Sea of Thieves, there are huge issues with how that game is set up and designed. Most of my issues have to do with like questing, with actually making the world fun and not feel extremely repetitious. Some people don't mind the repetition, um, which is great. And I think that, if you can have a game that's repetitive and still fun, that's a testament in and of itself. But open worlds require extreme attention to detail and a crap ton of work. Like the 40-second rule of open world games that the developers over at CD Projekt Red talked about with the release of The Witcher 3, where they had to go and they made sure that every 40 seconds, as you rode your horse in any direction, every 40 seconds, something different and interesting would happen. And that clearly has not happened with Sea of Thieves. It's not to say everybody has to follow that same design philosophy, but it is to say that Sea of Thieves, on the whole, I think the world in that is much less detailed and interesting than what we would consider a good, solid open world game.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, for someone to pick up that as their first open world game, I mean, of course it's Rareware, so they're like they're fantastic at everything they do, except for motion capture games. Those Kinect games were terrible. They were awful.
I think all Kinect games were terrible.
Hey,
I think that was a Kinect issue.
The
not a
Just
Rare
Dance
issue.
ones aren't like it's stupid. I played it when I was 10, but like it's fun to do Just Dance without a controller or anything, and it kind of feels like it's reading your body. Like those are fine times.
Yeah, maybe,
They're fine.
I don't know. I just wouldn't point to to Just Dance as
Oh
a
yeah,
good
this
example
isn't.
of
We're not
anything.
defending the Kinect here. The Kinect was a horrible idea back when Microsoft didn't
Jacob,
want
why are you
soldiers to
defending it?
play. I'm defending the idea that I think From Software has an excellent track record. I think Guerrilla is starting to build an excellent track record. I think it's possible for studios to, with their even if they aim for something less fleshed out, because Sea of Thieves really is heavily exploration based, and Witcher is heavily, narrative based. Like it's 45% talking, that game. So it's almost apples and oranges, but at the same time, game developers are game developers. They're all making shit. So
And
I
I
think
would,
that I think you pull it
yeah,
off.
but like I would even say like trying to remove personal biases. Like you really love Sea of Thieves,
I do.
clearly. I really like The Witcher. If we
I
take it
really
out
like The
of the
Witcher.
realms of like what we've discussed, uh, like I would insist that I don't think there's ever been, um, again, unless you're being like pretty biased with it. Every time a studio has attempted to go and do something they've never done before, it usually takes a couple attempts at it, a couple whacks at the tree before they chop it down and nail it. The first few God of War games, it took them a couple tries before they got it under their belts. First couple Fallout games took them a couple tries. And even games that are like cult classics, the first time that they've been released just out of nowhere, like say you could say Apex Legends, maybe. Like Apex Legends was the first attempt by Respawn in a battle royale. They had never done that before. And it was really good. But it took time before that game refined itself to the point where it was clobbering Fortnite and actively taking on and stripping players away from Warzone. Now it's at that point, certainly. But for a while, it really wasn't. It took some time. And now we can put the rose tinted glasses on and be like, no, Apex has always been amazing. But it took time. And all I'm saying is that Elden Ring might have nailed it. But as we've seen with countless examples, studios that try something very different than what they are experts in, usually that first attempt at that new thing isn't nailed. It can still be good, but usually it needs refinement. Horizon Forbidden or Horizon Zero Dawn needed refinement. It had issues. And that's why people are so excited for the sequel, because presumably they've learned from the lessons of the first game. Same with the remake of God of War. I just think like with Elden Ring, people have their FromSoft goggles on and are like they refuse to acknowledge that From Software is just another studio. It's the same thing people did with Cyberpunk. Like CD Projekt Red could never release a bad game. What are you talking about? It's like they're just a team of people. They are perfectly fallible. I think they are professionals and they will do their best to release the best game they possibly can. But hype is a dangerous beast, And when people start getting hyped up thinking that it's going to be Breath of the Wild mixed with Dark Souls 3, I think they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think it'll go that far, but I also just think that like, of course, the sequels to your games are an improvement on the one before it. Like of course Fallout 1, 2 and Tactics over like they were like completely different design games too before you get to Fallout 3, which is their first take at open world, which at the time was incredible. But if you go back to Fallout 3 now, like I played through all of Fallout 3 on PC, which apparently you can't do. Like someone was telling me you
Not
can't.
without like, yeah, our brother Ben, he bought it, I think, on Steam and tried to play it, and you can't. You have to like download a mod off whatever forum and alter like your INI file because it has some major issue. Like you do have to go in and mess with it to get it running.
I just got lucky. I didn't have to do anything. I just started playing it. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I've heard everyone I talked to said they had some trouble with it. But like
Yeah, I had to mess with it.
it's one of those things you never know till you know. So we'll see. Because for all we know, they're introducing new stuff, just like Horizon's introducing new stuff, and we won't know how it feels to play until we played it. Just like how Sekiro was introducing more verticality with that grapple hook that you had, and a more rhythm based parry system and stuff like that, and a completely different world to play in. You don't know till you know. But and that's the thing where it's like, what I can't say for sure that they're gonna nail it based off their track record, even though they have a very good track record. But we can't say that we're sure that they'll fail because we've seen so many other games fail. You have to wait and see, which is kind of the mantra of gaming journalism, it seems, and most journalism is. Yeah, this is what we think's going on, but we'll see. That's just how it
We'll see,
goes.
and
Yeah.
more importantly, we'll wait to see how the internet reacts to it, and then we'll change our opinion accordingly.
Yes, I am
Basically,
fully prepared to become a Aloy stan as soon as that game comes out. Uh, I am going to renounce my membership to the Church of Keeley, where we'll be all good to go. The Dorito Pope is still strong, of course. Good God, is that
of
going to
course.
be as much as I love From Software stuff? Good God, is this going to be insufferable if it is fantastic? Because we're never going to hear the end of it. You know? If it is, and if it's bad, we're also never going to hear the end of it. From Software games, we're never going to hear the end of them. From Software fans are terrible.
I have said like, there are some communities in gaming that are extremely welcoming. There are some that are kind of difficult to deal with, and there are some that are just super sweet. Um, and the like Soulsborne community, they can be extremely patronizing and uh, just cringe a lot of the time. Like Cammy, I popped into your stream one time when you were playing Bloodborne,
Yeah.
and you had so many people like trying to mansplain how to play the game to you, and you're like three-quarters of the way through. You're like killing
Yeah.
it. You're killing Orphan of Kos on your first try, like no issue. And they're like, "Okay, do you know how to parry?" Like it was so cringe. It was
To be
unbelievable.
fair, I mean, when I started playing Bloodborne, it was my first From Software game. And from the off, I was very much like, I need all the advice, all the tips you can possibly give me. And I get that some people go into those games and they're like, no, half the fun is like not having any idea what you're supposed to do. That's not how I play games. I would just get frustrated and stop playing them. So I
Mm.
needed that community to be like, now you go here, and now you get this umbilical cord. Now you've got the eyeball, so you can go back to this place you haven't seen in 10 hours, and then you can go to this guy who's here now. And so I needed that. A lot of the people in chat as well are people who come to every stream, which I'm very grateful for. So sometimes they do it as a like a banter thing. My experience was, for Bloodborne at least, everyone was lovely. I don't think I had a single person come into stream and be like, why haven't you played this game yet? Or you're really shit at this game. Everyone was like, oh my god, you're playing it for the first time. That's super, super awesome. I can't wait to see what you think. I can't wait to see your reaction. I'm playing Demon Souls at the minute. It's been slightly less welcoming, I would say. A bit more like, why are you telling her what to do? And they're literally just going, oh, you have a better weapon. I don't know if you realise that, because I definitely didn't realise that. Like, so I don't know. Sometimes I think it depends on the game. And I think it depends on your approach to playing the game as well. Because for me, I definitely needed those people going, you're in the wrong direction. You're facing the wrong way. You completely lost the plot. What the fuck are you doing? Like, go back there. But I get as well that some people, for those games, a big part of it is being confused and not knowing what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. So I think it swings and roundabouts. Maybe I just got lucky, and the people that popped into my Bloodborne streams were like some of the best ones, and some of the people that were like really not gatekeeping. But as well, like sometimes when they're mansplaining, I'm just used to it. I've had 22 years of people mansplaining to me, so I have like a filter that just ignores it. Same way I have a filter that just, when creepy people come into chat and they're like, "Are you single?"
I can only imagine. I've told you guys about it before. Like, I had probably 5 or 10 guys when I started YouTube, and I had like nobody watching. But I'm just like this little clean shaven, good old little Christian boy. And I would just make these cringy videos on Fallout 4. And like these guys would just comment, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. Oh my God, where do you live?" Like, and it was always these pictures of guys like that took their selfies right in their face. Like, oh. And I mean, there was times where they would send me emails and stuff. It was rough. And maybe they do that now and I just have them blocked and filtered properly. But for a while I dealt with
Don't flatter
that.
yourself, Luke. Okay, it
Yeah.
doesn't happen now.
Jacob's like, I haven't
Head
sent you
over
an
here.
email in
Yeah,
years.
it's been a
Yeah.
long time since I canceled all those accounts. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had a little taste of that, so I can only imagine what you've got to deal with.
I mean, I'll straight up put my hands up as well. I deal with a tiny amount in comparison to what a lot of other women deal with. Like Amy Amzicat, who comes on chat often,
Yeah, yeah.
she deals with it a hell of a lot more than I deal with it. And it can be to do with all sorts, like the time that you stream, how you dress, how you present yourself. So she has like cat ears on her like headset, and is much more of like an e-girl aesthetic. And that, let me tell you, that brings the boys a lot more than my oversized jumpers, glasses, and like general stay the fuck away from me vibe. So I know I deal with it a lot less than other people do. Like, I'll straight up say that. But you shouldn't have to deal with it at all. Just saying. Don't be a creep.
Yeah, From Software fans. This is about you.
Oh,
To bring it all back.
You die-hard
Einstein, I
From
woke you
Software fans. Oh no!
Oh, we woke the baby up. Oh no.
It was my fault.
Well,
Go
hey,
back to sleep. It's okay.
what a wonderful episode this was. We got all our gaming news. We talked about some stuff outside of inside of what's going on, but bigger picture. What a great episode is what I'm saying.
What a great episode.
This went wonderfully. I've got a big old smile on my face. You can't see it right now because you can't talk.
Big old
if you try to talk like
this,
this, it hurts my fucking face. I don't want to do that.
Big D is just real happy.
Big D's in a good mood. And who wouldn't be with a name like Big D?
Big D.
Big D.
Big D.
short for Debbie, long for D.
Yeah,
Anyways,
long D, I'm sure.
we'll see you guys all later.
I'm sure.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Like and subscribe. And buy Luke some minted NFTs on the blockchain. See you later.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.